Call this regularly scheduled meeting of the San Benito County Planning Commission to order. If we could please have the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Toledo, could you please lead us in the pledge?
Absolutely.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Okay, Vincent Ringhayden, District 1.
Present.
District 2, Richard Way.
Present.
District 3, Robert Scagliotti.
Present.
District 4, Robert Gibson.
Present.
District 5, Celeste Toledo Bocanegra.
Present.
All commissioners are present.
Thank you. Next item, 4.1.
Chair, if I can please get you to approach the podium.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. This certificate of recognition is presented to Robert Gibson for his outstanding service of nearly 6 years as a planning commissioner for San Benito County. As chair for 3 consecutive years, he efficiently managed meetings and ensured fair consideration of public input on land use matters. He played a key role in recommending amendments to the county code, particularly in zoning and affordable housing, promoting sustainable growth, operational development, and healthy communities. His contributions also supported projects like Riverview to self-help housing, supporting low-income families, and the Badabel conditional use permit, establishing commercial convenience off Highway 101 to support the community. Your dedication to land use planning and commitment to the community's future have been invaluable. And thank you so much for your service. Here's your certificate.
Thank you. A very short one. Thank you for the kind words, Celeste. It has been an experience, I'll say that, and I look forward to my last 2 years. Thank you. Still?
Do one with everyone as well?
Yep.
Okay.
Keep them in check. Thank you. Next item on the docket, public comment. Is there any general public comment?
Sorry, Chair, you skipped item 5.1.
Oh, department announcements, I did. Are there any department announcements?
Hi, Ariel Goodsby, Principal Planner for the County of San Benito. The department announcements for tonight is just to go over the 2025 Planning Commission schedule. We will be canceling the January meeting due to the board needing to appoint, and we won't have a quorum. Otherwise, we will be scheduled as on our regular third Wednesday of the month at 6 p.m. and the following dates are on the screen. If you would like to make a motion to approve the schedule for next year.
I make a motion to approve the schedule.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Next, to public comment. This is general public comment for items under the purview of the Planning Commission, but not on this evening's agenda.
Elias Salinas, will you please approach the podium?
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. I would like to take this opportunity to say thank you to Commissioner Celeste Solida Bocanegra for her service and for having said yes to take the position. And you've served it with grace and dignity, and you've done your research. You've asked some great questions, and you've asked the questions that you've asked. You knew the answer to some, and you just wanted to make sure that the public was getting the answer, which is a great technique to do, because that's how the public knows and learns, and that's how the public can realize why it is that you make the decisions that you do. So thank you so much for doing that. So again, thank you for, it's a lot of time, a lot of work, a lot of research, and I appreciate the time. So thank you so much for serving San Benito County as a planning commissioner.
Thank you so much for your comment, Ms. Elia Salinas.
Thank you. Any other public?
Sorry. I have no more public comment in chambers or via Zoom.
Okay, public comment is closed. Back to the agenda. Consent agenda. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? Seeing none, is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries 5-0. Thank you. On to public hearing, item 8.1. Hold a public hearing and consider a resolution regarding county planning file PLN 240078, an amendment to conditional use permit PLN 240013 to remove conditions 17 and 18 for the ongoing operation of Brady's Cabinets at 10 Flint Road, San Juan Bautista.
Good evening, Chair, Commissioners, members of the public. I am Victor Tafoya, Associate Planner with the County of San Benito. Tonight, I will be focusing on PLN 240078, an amendment to conditional use permit PLN 240013, located at 10 Flint Road. The focus of this discussion will be on condition 17, which is the right-of-way dedication, and condition 18, which is the road improvements. This project was deferred. Like I was mentioning, this project was deferred during the November 2024 Planning Commission meeting to allow for further evaluation. This item has now been rescheduled and for your consideration today. Our discussion tonight will cover project location, history, description, and staff recommendation. The following is a summary of the project's history outline, key events to date. On September 18, the Planning Commission approved conditional use permit PLN 240013 for Brady's Cabinets, formalizing the operation of a woodworking workshop providing custom cabinetry services and an agricultural equipment repair services business. As part of the approval, conditions 17 and 18 were included to address right-of-way dedication and roadway improvements along Flint Road. On November 20, 2024, the applicant submitted an amendment to PLN 240013 requesting the removal of conditions 17 and 18. Due to financial hardship, the request does not propose changes to the operations of either the woodworking workshop or the agricultural equipment repair services businesses. During the November 2024 meeting, the Planning Commission continued the item to allow staff to prepare findings to gather additional information for further consideration. Tonight, the amendment to conditional use permit PLN 240013 is back before the Planning Commission. The Commission will determine whether to remove, modify, or retain conditions 17 and 18 as part of the permit. As a reminder, the project is located at 2.5 miles east of San Juan Bautista and 4.5 miles west of Hollister. This is a reminder that the approved project under County Planning File PLN 240013 permits for the operation of a woodworking workshop providing custom cabinetry services and agricultural equipment repair services business. The operations occur within the 3 existing accessory structures on site as approved through the conditional use permit. The business operates from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday to Saturday, employing 4 individuals. Okay, this image captures a view facing south, showcasing existing conditions of Flint Road. Now let's turn our focus to the recommended options for addressing conditions 17 and 18 under conditional use permit PLN 240078. Staff has identified 3 distinct options for the Planning Commission's consideration. First, you may choose to grant the request to remove conditions 17 and 18. This option involves adopting the attached resolution, which includes the findings, conditions of approval. This would eliminate the right-of-way dedication and the standard road improvement requirements. The second option is that the Commission may decide is to modify the condition 17 and 18 to implement a middle ground solution. Under this option, condition 17 would be removed and condition 18 would be revised to require the applicant to pay a $50,000 in lieu fee for roadway improvements. These funds would support grinding, compacting, and applying a double chip seal surface along the frontage of Flint Road as recommended by Public Works. Lastly, the Commission may opt to sustain the original conditions. This approach retains the right-of-way dedication under condition 17 and the full roadway improvement requirement under condition 18, ensuring compliance with county standards for asphalt concrete improvement. Staff respectfully recommends that the Planning Commission review the staff report, hold the public hearing, hear any proponents and opponents, and consider the following options. Grant the applicant's request, adopt the resolution to remove condition 17 and 18, or modify condition 17 and 18, adopt the resolution implementing the middle ground solution as recommended by Public Works, or lastly, sustain the original conditions as adopted and adopt the resolution to retain condition 17 and 18. Do you have any questions?
Thank you. Do the commissioners have any questions before we go to either the applicant or public comment? Commissioner Scagliotti.
What do you call middle ground solution? I don't see that written here anywhere.
It's it's in your
The $50,000.
yeah, the 50,000 in lieu
okay.
fee. Yeah.
Is that it for now?
Yeah.
Okay. Are we going to hear from the applicant or yep.
Good evening, commissioners. And anyhow, when the original application got the comments back from the different departments, I commented back as far as what conditions were reasonable and which ones were unreasonable. Obviously, condition 17 and 18 are very unreasonable. As well as I don't know who I'm going to find to look at a septic system and outline water lines are all buried, but that would be a problem. But I just am here tonight to talk about 17 and 18. First off, this is not a new project. Those buildings, the main building has been there for 57 years. The house, I don't know how long it was an old house when I lived there when I was a young boy. And the other buildings were built 30 plus years ago. I improved the condition asking for the dedication is for 30 feet, the entire length of my property, as you can see by the illustration. It's a long piece of property, and it would cover a number of my improvements, water lines, a house. It put the dedication right up on the front porch of the house, of my house, and take up half of the yard where the sheds, where the buildings are. and then take out 2 rows of trees, my water tank, and everything else. Flint Road is a lane. It's 18 feet wide. And nothing's going to change on that road for the next 100 years. When that highway 150, well, right now, there's no traffic on it. The little cabinet shop that has been there for 5 years has no impact on that road. I shouldn't be required to do anything with that road. When I put the other structures up 30-something years ago, I made improvements to Flint Road. You can see by that illustration that my half of the road is in pretty good shape. The other side is a little bit more alligator, and cracked. And that is because the county doesn't grade the sides of the roads to get the water off in the winter like they used to. And so condition 18, for me to pave 14 feet of an 18-foot road, the length of my property is would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to county standards, which the other side of the road isn't to county standard to begin with. So it's what the use that I have that building in right now is very minimal. There's no noise. There's no odors. It's a mom and pop operation, which is a mom and pop rental fee. And anything that's above and beyond what's already been done here, I'm $10,000 into this application. I put a fire hydrant in. Obviously, I'm gonna have to figure out something with the mapping the septic, which I don't know how I'm gonna get that done, but I'll try. But I think this is not a new project. I'm not building anything. I'm not asking for anything. It's a legit business. And I think a person should be able to rent their property to a legit business. Things change. I'm being charged. I paid my property taxes, 17 grand, and you guys got that too. So I certainly ask for common sense and some leniency on these 2 conditions. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any public comment?
I think there might be. Yep, Elias Salinas, please approach the podium.
Thank you. Good evening. So I often drive that road because I come back when I'm in North County, Santa Clara County. I come through the back roads because I take advantage of the old 156 or 52, 56. Anyway, so when I was reading this, I was wondering, because I see that the traffic that goes there, where they're talking about, especially when Mr. Patello says they're small cars, if this is something that you're considering, why is it that the trucking company that is at the corner of Lucy Brown and 156, or the old 156, they come in with heavy trucks when I go through there. I don't think I've ever been on Lucy Brown Road without either having a truck coming out or a truck going in or coming off of 156. So I'm not exactly sure how this was brought to your attention, but if you're trying to have property owners fix the roads, if this is how it happened, then you should also consider that big trucking company on Lucy Brown Road. Again, the $50,000 deposit that they're saying would be in lieu of, and it would be used, if Mr. Patello is saying he's already taken care of his side of the road, is this $50,000 is going to take care of how much distance of a road, and it would be not just on the west side of the road, but this would just be affecting the east side of the road? Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
There is no more public comment in chambers or via Zoom for this item.
Okay, thank you. Public comment is closed. Back to the commission. Any comments, questions, concerns? Commissioner Way.
Yes. I keep coming back to the same concept that I had when this was initially brought up, which is I understand Mr. Botello's position. To a certain extent, I empathize with him. At the same time, I am concerned that this project wasn't properly permitted in the first place. Now, we can argue about why that was the case, and I've heard, the explanations. But I still go back to what would we have required if this had come to us for a conditional use permit way back when? And I think that would be a fair thing to base our judgment on, personally. It feels like if he had come to us asking for the conditional use permit initially, and we would have required these improvements, then the fact that it's been operating without a permit all this time seems kind of irrelevant to me. So that's just my comment.
Okay, Commissioner Ringhayden.
I have no comments at this.
Commissioner Toledo.
Considering the totality of the business and the road itself being county owned, I don't believe that Mr. Botello should we should take advantage of him, and we shouldn't have him pay for the road. So I'm in agreement in removing 17 and 18.
Okay, Commissioner Scagliotti.
I'm in concern. I'm with Mr. Way. This is not properly permitted. I do think 17 and 18 are a little too severe. I think the modified for 50,000 is not nearly enough to appease what we need to have done. So we got to come up with something in the middle. That's what I'm looking for. If that is going to cause, Mr. Botello is right. Our roads are trashed. They're garbage. Pay only $50,000? That's not near enough. I see we have Mr. Loop in the audience, and I would like to know what it would cost to do something like this for future, for not the whole length of his property, but only the length of where he's actually physically working.
From the intersection of
the intersection to maybe
the end of the building,
50 or 60 feet past the building. That's what I'd like to know. What would that cost to pave that?
Or chip seal?
The 17 and 18, it's over the top. That's too much. But 50,000? No. So give me some ideas, Mr. Loop.
Good evening, Commissioners. Steve Loop, Public Works Administrator. So let's talk about the right-of-way first, I think. For its existing use, until it's redeveloped in some other use, Public Works feels that it's not necessary to get the extra right-of-way with the home there and the business and operations. If they were going to further subdivide and do some other use, then we could always ask for more right-of-way. So that's the right-of-way. Regarding the chip seal, we got a price about $1.80 per square foot to grind up the road, compact it, and put a double chip seal along the whole frontage, 22 feet wide, along the whole width, 22 feet wide. 90% of our roads in the county are just double chip sealed today. Now, they were done 35 years ago, so as you mentioned, they're all mostly falling apart. But they did last for, 20-ish years for ag-type traffic, double chip seal. So that's what the 50,000 is actually 51,000 and change. I can't remember the exact, 51,840, I believe was the number we came up with, the double chip seal, 22 feet along the whole length of the project. Because if we just did one half, as the applicant already said, the road in various parts and pieces is very severely alligator cracked. So if we were to just double chip seal half, the other half would literally be crumbling even while we did that half, right? So it'd be wouldn't make a lot of sense to do just half the road. So that's how we came up with the 50K. We haven't bid it, but that's how we came up with the price. To do just the part near where the structure is and not where the orchard is would probably be approximately triple of that, although I haven't priced it out. So I don't have the answer actually of what the actual cost. And I guess I would ask for clarification if this is going to be postponed, but are you asking for just pavement and no curb gutter, but just pavement, like a standard kind of county road with
County road, yeah,
decent
out there.
pavement
How much would it
section
cost to pave just frontage
where the building is?
where the building is to maybe 50 feet past his building?
50 feet past the building. Okay,
And
I did
from
not
the
price that out,
intersection-
so I don't have an answer for you.
Just throw a number, a close number.
It
You know,
probably,
you know so many square feet. You can figure it out real quick. Just run it in your head real fast.
oh, okay. Give me a second then. Okay. So, do you want 50 feet past where the building is?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll have to come back in a minute or two. So,
Okay.
I mean,
So
I gotta grab my phone.
Building,
Is that the 50,000?
the edge of where the buildings are now. Do you have that number?
I don't. Let me look at Google
Okay.
Earth, get the frontage, do a quick calc for
Okay.
you, and I'll get back. It'd
Thank
be a
you.
little more than 50,000. I'll say that.
Okay. So my thoughts are, applicant,
I have a question. So if Brady goes bankrupt or decides to move, here I come back again to the planning commission to rent my building. And you want another 1,000 feet of road? You know, how much do you think I rent that place for? You know, it'd be easier for me to kick them out and say the hell with it. Is that what we want to do and shut that business down?
that's my concern.
And that's what will happen. Yeah, that's exactly what you're asking for, Mr. Scaglioli.
Thank you. Yeah, I will agree with Commissioner Toledo that for what the applicant is probably collecting in rent for a cabinet shop, it will be easier and cheaper to just shut down the.
I'm just
and then-
asking for numbers, that's all.
I know.
50,000 seems too cheap to me.
Well, I would be just fine, given that this is just going to be a frontage road and it's no longer going to be 156 and shouldn't get a lot of use other than the ag use. I would be fine with just deleting conditions 17 and 18 for this particular case,
That's kind of what I said.
but without the in lieu fee.
Dilito's and back to the Luffy, something. Gotta get something for
Well,
it.
Commissioner Toledo and I are both agreeing that just get rid of the 17 and 18 and leave it at that.
Well, it just seems though that it wasn't permitted properly to begin with. And if you do it this way, then, and I'm not trying to hurt the business or the cabinet shop. And I love to see the cabinet shop, but I mean, it's like, okay, I didn't get a permit for this and I'm not going to pay anything for the road to be improved. And I think that I agree with you. We don't want to make it so hard that you can't afford it and that the person gets kicked out and we don't have a cabinet shop anymore. We don't want that. But we got to find some kind of middle ground where we can. And I'm not sure if the 50,000 honestly is high or low.
Steve, you're still working on your calculations?
50,000 is a lot of money. And, you know, and I had Steve out there the other day, and we looked at what was there. At the old highway where the house is, which is not part of the project, and it's really in the state's, what do you call it, the encroachment area at the stop sign. That water comes across there, it's in bad shape. But that's on the state. Where the shed is and the operational permitted area that is on this application is in quite a bit better shape, especially on my side of the road. And the reason why it is because when I improved my yard, when I was packing there, and that's when I had a lot of use. I had a lot of trucks. I had 50 people working for me at one time there. We fixed that road right. and it met the improvements of the property. I put a lot of money into it at that time. And Commissioner May, I wasn't aware.
It's Way.
I'm sorry.
It's Way, W-A-Y.
Okay. You know, I was under the understanding that this has been a commercial use for years and years and years. When I had it, before I had it, after I've had ceased my packing operations, that it was a commercial use. And there was no way that I thought that I would have to come into a planning commission meeting or something like this. It's a big, you know, it's a nice big building that needs to be utilized for something. And my type of farming is done. You know, a small family packing operation is done. I could take you out, as Ms. Salinas said, there's a lot of businesses out in the valley. Nobody else is repaving the roads. I don't, on Bixby, there was a brand new business put out there just recently. That Bixby road looks the same to me, but I'm not saying I don't want to meet some common ground. I'm going to meet some common ground. The number that I, you know, probably could live with is 20,000. And that's half of the year's rent. Plus the property taxes, plus the insurance, plus everything else, and he may not pay. You know, he's a small business guy. I'm chasing that rent all the time. I may have to have somebody else in there one of these days. I don't want that. He's put a lot of money into that place. He's got nice machinery. He does it right. Everything's permitted.
Okay.
So help me stay with him.
Okay. Thank you.
Could I ask a quick question of the other commissioners?
Yes.
So, going back in history now, I'm thinking that the fact that he did apparently repave half of the road at one point, does that, to me, that kind of alters the equation at least a little bit and makes me a little bit less stern in my feeling regarding his need to come up with additional funds, or at least the amount of the additional funds. Does that make a difference to anybody else?
Well, I'm happy just getting rid of the two conditions and not penalizing.
Is that there, you know, originally it wasn't permitted, now you're coming back and like I said, I want to find some common ground. And maybe 50,000 is too much. We can hear from Steve, and you can tell us what it costs. But I also think you're right. Doing half the road is not, that's silly. So
doing some quick calcs of an actual road section, and it's an odd shape because he has this concrete pad. And I try to give him some credit for the pavement. It's true. You can tell some of the pavement near the concrete pad is in better condition than the rest of the road. So I think that's a true statement. To kind of work around that and go 50 feet past, it's roughly 85, 90K. So it'd be a little bit more to do an actual road section. So that's the number, but it's up to the commission to kind of go from there, I guess.
Thank you, Steve. And I'd just like to remind the commission that we had a packing shed go in, a very large business that is going to be a lot more than the traffic that this business produces. And they got away with $50,000 for a turn lane. And again, being that this road is going to be a frontage road, no longer a state highway, I'm having a difficult time making these things just. If we're going to start talking about 50,000, I mean, even 20,000 to me seems punitive.
Well, but there should be some punitiveness here because he should have come to us for a permit in the first place.
Enforcement probably fined him for it. So that's where the punitive nature comes in. We shouldn't be wheeling the gavel.
Well, I shouldn't say punitive, and that's wrong, bad choice of words. But, you know, I just feel like.
I think he's willing to come to a compromise, and I think that we should work with him on this.
Right.
It may not be 50. He threw out a number, and I really would like to see that family mom and pop shop stay and not cause too much consternation for you to keep them there. So I'm for a compromise. That's my thought.
I'm sorry, are you done? Okay. I just want to state that I am to remove 17 and 18 because of the small business. So there's a small business in there. This property is industrial, so we want to make sure we maintain that. San Benito County is already suffering with revenue. So helping revenue is my main concern, right, at this moment for this small business. I know there are prior issues with the applicant as far as the fees that were owed before, and we need to take that into consideration, which you are, and I know you want to meet middle ground with that, but definitely at this time, I think we can take a step back and evaluate that the small business that's there now, maybe bringing just a small amount of revenue into our community is very important.
Okay, so commissioners, anyone have a motion to put forward?
I have one more thing I want to say. I want to get rid of 17 and 18. That's easy.
Okay.
But I'm not going to give it away either. Mr. Botello said 20 grand is cool. You said 20,000 is
Acceptable.
Something that
you would consider.
It'd be on the high end of consideration.
Yeah, no, I'm just asking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The only concern I have is that, say, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years from now, Mr. Brady is no longer there. I have to rent a building and somebody else, here I come. I have to come back to the planning commission to rent my building, apparently, to anyone, and that I don't get nailed for another 20,000.
Okay, let me ask this question. I want to ask this question of,
Can we correct that statement though? To staff, is the CUP is not dependent upon who the renter is, right?
that's what I was going to
We're
ask.
staff. Hi, Victor.
In the resolution, it states that any changes other than that cabinet shop and that cabinet shop operation, it's in that resolution.
I say we amend that.
Yeah.
We amend that.
That sounds like the easy solution.
Amend that. So if he comes back and if something happens in 5 years,
Well, we can amend it, but I don't want to just say anything can go in there.
no.
Through the chair, if it's okay, staff would recommend something along the lines of not of higher intensity, similar use but not higher intensity, and to be reviewed at least at the planning director level. If something is of higher intensity, then it would need to come back for commission for a revision.
Yeah. That seems more
Yeah, that's
reasonable. Again, keep it ag or something small like that, or put a limit of 10 employees, 15 employees max, something like that. So that way you do have the options to rent it if this guy leaves on you. Is that fair?
Yes, I believe in the use permit, it does outline how many employees are allowed and the intensity. And so it would be, when staff reviews, it would be of similar value. If it becomes of an increased amount, then we would have to bring it back. So it'd be considered let's say, right, how many, 4 employees. So right now there's 4 employees. So if he comes in and he wants 15 employees, that's 3 times what is currently permitted. That'd be something we'd be coming back to Planning Commission to
But
consider.
you wouldn't have to come back to the planning commission just to hire one more employee or something, right? I mean,
So my recommendation through the chair is that you have a do not exceed.
yeah, that would work.
Perfect. Do not exceed so many
Yeah,
employees.
and that makes sense. If it was a bigger business, naturally you could get a little bit more rent. It's more valuable. This little small business, I'm kissing your year's rent goodbye, and that's without making any money on my own property.
Let me ask you
But
this
that's
question.
fine. I just want this to be done and over with.
Let me ask you this question, Mr. Patel. What if we rescind 17 and 18? And if you do redo it and you go to 15 employees or something bigger, that you make the road improvements at that point at whatever the full cost is to improve in front of your business.
I'm sorry, I didn't wear my hearing aids today. I went duck hunting.
So we don't charge you nothing right tonight.
Okay.
We rescind 17, we rescind 18. I let you walk with no money. up front. The minute you change it to 15 people, you do a complete paving in front of your property.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
And I mean, complete paving. I want it written in there. Not white curb and gutter, but a full paving job.
So
In front of just the shop area.
So a change in intensity of over so many employees would trigger it.
Trigger, but
Correct, and we could write that in an amended condition of approval.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll agree to that.
That's palatable.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
I still would be of the opinion that there should be some cost to this. So that's my thought. And whether it's 20 or even less, that's my thought.
Commissioner Way?
I'm torn. This sounds like the standard deferred improvement that we've been trying to get away from. But it may be the best option for today. I don't want to see the cabinet shop go out of business either.
That's I'm 100%. And you know how I am when it comes to money for the county.
Yeah.
I want every penny I can find and get. I'll get it from you if I can. And this doesn't pay for 4 employees. I understand. But if you ever change your mind and you go bigger, then we want it fixed, and we want it fixed right. And I want that written down in the resolution that it is fixed properly. No half-assed stuff. I want it right. I'm willing to give tonight, but for the future, I want it right.
Can we get consensus on that? The triggering of increasing intensity triggers repavement of the entire width of the road.
I will make a motion.
Okay.
The first motion, yeah.
Okay. So Commissioner Toledo is making the motion to adopt the language regarding the intensity of the business triggers the repaving of the full width of the road.
Does that include the removal of conditions 17 and 18?
Correct.
And changing the language so it doesn't specify this particular business, because we need to be somewhat business friendly in this county, or we might as well rejoin Monterey.
Through the chair, yes, we can amend that. Can you provide a specific number that
10?
is of intensity?
10 employees?
Oh, I was going to go 15, but I'll take 10.
15?
Yeah,
10.
either.
Let's go for 15.
Let's
I'd
go for
rather be
15.
more
That's-
generous.
Now, the only thing I would suggest, though, is rather than removing 17 and 18 and inserting this new language, isn't it more correct to say that we're removing 17, which is the right-of-way dedication, and then we're changing 18 so that there's a trigger on it? So 18 will still be in there. It's just that it'll be
modified.
deferred until and unless intensity increases.
Yeah,
That works for me.
it's 6. Yeah, it all accomplishes the same goal.
Right.
So delete 17 and modify 18 to trigger repaving the road if the business exceeds 15 employees.
I don't want to see
Thank you,
one
Commissioner Way.
That's my
Yep.
And then
So-
you're saying, though, there would be no
No upfront current costs.
doesn't pay for
upfront
the
current costs.
So I'll,
Were those amendments
correct. We'll
friendly?
put those
Okay.
friendly amendments.
Is it both intensity and the number of employees?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, but subjective, isn't it? Intensity?
Sorry, through the chair, I believe you also maybe want to specify, maybe we make these specifications under condition of approval number 9, activities allowed on there. It describes, this particular activity. So maybe we, add in there the employees or of similar approval, maybe include in their time. Is that also something you want to be considered? Maybe he doesn't necessarily increase the employees, but he's increasing, he wants to do a longer time. So I would maybe revise that
I
condition.
would modify a lot of that language in 9 so it doesn't tie in a particular business type. Kind of like we did with the winery, and we tied them to a business license, and then it cost them 2 years and $150,000 to not make their own wine. We need to stop doing that.
We
I'd like
could-
to make sure it says agriculture.
We could describe the current operation and then insert something to the effect that anything that is substantially different from this current operation would require
then who's the referee that determines what's substantially
Yeah,
different?
and you're right, and different isn't really the right word either. It's more intense, and that's a nebulous term.
Yep. Thank God for attorneys, huh? So do we have enough to work on to come up with the...
Yes, yeah. Oh,
Okay, so is all that acceptable to the maker of the motion?
Absolutely.
Clear as mud, but we'll work on it? Whoop.
yes, and can we ask for continuance of this item to a certain date in February 19th of 2020?
Okay, so we want to work on this language and continue it until February 19th, 2025? As long as that doesn't impact the operations of the business?
Yeah, we can't get it done tonight. We told you what we want written in there.
Right.
Can't we just
make
approve
the
it
motion?
tonight? And then Mr. Gibson, when he signs
We
it,
could approve it with those modifications.
and like I said, that's why I want it ironclad. When he reads it, it'll be everything we said better be in there.
Then through the motion, if you could include in there that you are giving the chair authority of the revised conditions of approval to sign off on.
Maker of the
Give chair
motion,
authority.
is that
I make a
acceptable?
motion to give the chair authority.
Whoop, well,
Do you need me to repeat it?
no, I just need you to accept that friendly amendment.
I accept the friendly.
Okay, now are we done modifying it so I can get a second? Second, please, somebody.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries 5-0. Painful, thank you. Next item. Hold a public hearing to adopt a resolution of the Planning Commission of the County of San Benito denying PLN 230015 for a zone change from agricultural productive to residential multiple and a minor subdivision application to subdivide a 5-acre parcel into two 2.5-acre parcels.
Good evening, Chair, Commissioners, and members of the public. I am Victor Tafoya, Associate Planner with the County of San Benito. Tonight, I will be discussing PLN 230015, Kellogg Zone Change and Minor Subdivision located alongside Southside Road. This item was initially prepared and presented on November 20th, 2024. At this time, the Planning Commission raised concerns regarding the project's consistency with the general plan, specifically related to circulation, public facilities and services, natural and cultural resources, and health and safety. Staff has since updated the resolution, has prepared findings for denial in response to the Commission's direction. This item now returns to the Planning Commission for your review and consideration of those prepared findings of denial as directed. Okay, tonight's discussion will cover the project location, description, land use consistency, CEQA, and staff recommendation. As a reminder, the project is located 5 miles southeast of downtown Hollister. This is a reminder that the project sought a zone change from agricultural productive to residential multiple, while the proposed zoning aligns with the general plan's residential mixed designation. The project was found inconsistent with several key policies within the general plan. Additionally, the proposal included the subdivision of an existing 5-acre parcel into two separate parcels. Parcel 1, 2.5 acres with shared access to an existing well. Parcel 2, 2.5 acres, also sharing access to the same well. This is a reminder of the photo on the screen that shows a view of the project from Parcel 1 facing east towards Ridgemore. This is a view of the project site from Parcel 1 facing south along Southside Road. The proposed zone change from agricultural productive to residential multiple, and the minor subdivision is inconsistent with the general plan's residential mix, RM designation. This finding is supported by the resolution, which references policy C 2.5 circulation element, policy P F5 4.1 public facilities and services element, policy NCR 4.1, natural and cultural resources element, and policy HS 2.8, health and safety element. The proposed subdivision of the 5-acre parcel into 2.5-acre lots is inconsistent with the general plan's objective for residential development and conflicts with key policies as referred in the resolution. While an initial study and mitigative negative declaration, ISM&D, was prepared and circulated in compliance with CEQA, it is important to emphasize that pursuant to CEQA guidelines 15270 section A, a project that is disapproved or categorically exempt from further environmental review. As this project is being denied by the Planning Commission, the ISM&D is no longer applicable and no additional CEQA analysis is required. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission review the staff report and draft resolution, which includes findings or denial based on the project's inconsistencies with the general plan and infrastructure limitations, hold the public hearing to receive comments from the public, including any proponents or opponents of the project, adopt the draft resolution to deny county planning file PLN 230015, which includes the denial for the proposed zone change from agricultural productive to residential multiple, and the denial of the minor subdivision application to divide the 5-acre parcel into 2.5-acre lots. Do you have any questions?
Thank you. Sean, at this point, can I mention or suggest that going forward, if we bring an application back for denial with findings, that it just be put on the consent agenda so they don't have to rehear it? Because it seems a lot more efficient than how we've been doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that might work for findings of approval as well, as long as there's no changes. We just pull it off consent if we have to.
Right.
Okay. Are there any questions of staff at this time? Seeing none. Does the applicant have anyone to speak? No? Okay. Is there any public comment?
There is Maureen McCormick. Please approach the podium. Elias Salinas, please approach the podium.
Good evening. This is a prime example of what happens where your hands are tied regarding Measure A. Even though this property is within the ag, it's never been used. Timer. I was going to make it quick anyway. So anyway, because of Measure A, this is where you find yourselves. Your hands are tied. You cannot approve this project, even though it's so minor. And I don't know if it's this one or the next one, where the rumor was that they were going to build 200 homes on Southside Road, which is ridiculous. And even if they did, even if they wanted to build just one house on each acre, splitting it up, there would be access to Sunny Slope water and sewer, should they want to. It's adjacent to Ridgemark. But again, it's too bad that this has to be denied, but this goes along with the list of people that can get in line that can sue the county because of this measure where everyone's hands are tied. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
There is Carl Scow. Please approach the podium.
Good evening. I put in prepared remarks last meeting about Southside Road and the problem with zoning this from ag productive going to RM would be, as the previous speaker had just said, the sewage and water are right there. That means that these properties can be expanded onto hundreds of parcels. We own part of that land which is in question, so this is actually detrimental to myself if this is declined. But at the same time, it is the wrong place for major development to take place. By allowing RM to start off, we have opened the door for future parties to try to split into smaller units and add more traffic. Since the last meeting, 30 days or so ago in this chambers, 2 wrecks have occurred on South Side Road. One was a rollover right in front of Promontory, who never got any improvements for widening the roads along there when they built that back access. The other one was up by the old hospital, just short of the old hospital. 2 wrecks. One of them closed the road for hours. If that would have happened when Tres Pinos Creek was up, we would have been out. If that would have been a head-on, we don't know what would have happened there. That road on South Side needs to be analyzed before any properties are rezoned to come out of ag productive. That ground years ago was ag in walnuts. It hasn't been for many years, but we farm right directly next to it, and it is good ground. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Any more public comment?
There is no more public comment in chambers or via Zoom.
Okay, thank you. Public comment is closed. Back to the commission. Is there a motion to adopt?
I'll move to adopt the findings for denial as discussed.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Next item on the docket, 8.3. Hold a public hearing to consider adopting a resolution to approve PLN 200034, a tentative map subdividing an existing 4.47 acre parcel into 3 separate parcels of 2.05, 1.0, and 1.0 with a 0.16 acre and 0.51 acre road dedication. The address is 2740 Southside Road.
And a quick correction, it's 2690, my typo. Okay, good evening, Chair and Commissioners. I'm Jonathan Olivas, Associate Planner with San Benito County, and today I will be presenting PLN 200034, a proposed minor subdivision located at 2690 Southside Road. All right, our presentation this evening will cover project location, description, compliance with CEQA, land use consistency, and staff's recommendation. The project site is located at 2690 Southside Road, approximately 3 miles south of downtown Hollister. It is situated in a growing area with nearby residential developments such as Sunnyside Estates and Bennett Ranch, with some agricultural operations in the vicinity as well. The main access for the project site would be via Southside Road. And the subdivision proposes an existing 4.7 acre parcel split into 3 lots. Parcel 1, 2.05 acres, and contains an existing residence, septic system, well, and driveway. Parcels 2 and 3 are 1 acre of undeveloped farmland, and the project also includes 2 road dedications of 0.16 acres and 0.7 acres for future improvements. Notably, no construction is proposed at this time. The image on screen shows a close-up of parcels 1 and 2. Parcel 1 has the existing residence, well, and septic system. The dedication areas for road expansion are in dark gray. The image on screen shows a close-up of parcel 2 and 3 with the dedication for the future expansion of Mojave and Kern Way indicated on parcel 3. And we can see that right here. Okay, the image on screen is going to show the project site from parcel 3 facing towards Sunnyside Estates, which is directly adjacent to the project site. And this is also the site of where the future extension of Kern Way will be. The image on screen shows the project site facing north towards Hollister with the existing residence on parcel 1 in the foreground. This image shows the project site facing west towards the Gavilan Range with the Bertuccio Orchards in the foreground. This image shows the project site facing east towards Airline Highway with the existing access for parcel 1 and 2 in the foreground, taken from parcel 1, and Southside Road is just beyond the fence line. The property has a residential mixed or RM general plan designation and a rural residential or RR zoning. The RM designation supports urban uses in areas with existing circulation and utility services. emphasizing higher density in developed areas depending on availability of public water and sewer infrastructure. The RR zoning allows a mix of housing and limited agriculture, prioritizing single-family residences with agriculture uses as secondary. It permits one dwelling unit per acre unless public sewer and water services are available, allowing parcels as small as half an acre. This project, however, is not eligible for this lot size reduction as both services are currently not available. The proposed project involves no construction and aligns with both designations, making it consistent with both its general plan and zoning designations. Some general plan policies of note, of which this project aligns, are General Plan Policy LU 4.2, which encourages urban residential development in areas with adequate public facilities or where services can be provided. The property lies within the Sunny Slope County Water District and the City of Hollister sewer service boundary. Parcels 2 and 3 will use public water from Sunny Slope Water District, and parcel 1 will remain on the existing well, while all the parcels will remain on septic systems. The site is near Union Road and less than a mile from Highway 25, which is further consistent with LU 4.2's focus on development near major transportation networks and infrastructure. Additionally, this subdivision alters very little regarding permissible entitlements, as the existing zoning already permits nearly identical usage without the subdivision. The project qualifies for the common sense CEQA exemption, as it poses no significant environmental impacts involving no construction or disruptions to sensitive areas. The proposal focuses on redefining property boundaries without plans for new construction, consistent with the existing zoning regulations. Ground disturbance activities required by San Benito County Code, such as road construction and frontage improvements, fall under CEQA Class 1 categorical exemption for minor alterations to existing infrastructure. These improvements comply with County Code Title 23, as they do not expand existing use, and no additional automobile lanes or expanded roadway use are proposed.
Just a clarification on that slide, it says Santa Ana Road.
Oh, excuse me.
Apologies. Typo.
That should be south side?
Absolutely should be south. Staff recommends the Planning Commission review the staff report and resolution, including the findings and conditions of approval, receive public comment, and adopt the resolution to approve minor subdivision parcel map PLN 200034, subject to the conditions of approval outlined in the resolution. Any questions?
Any questions of staff at this time? Commissioner Way.
Yes, sorry. This particular application is not requesting a zoning change, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions before we go to the applicant's representative? Seeing none. Anne, if you could please come up to the podium.
So I have a few comments here. Unfortunately, it looks like after having spent quite some time talking to Public Works and making some changes to the map, the wrong map was referenced when it came to writing these road improvements requirements. Previous discussion with Public Works about these road improvements, I don't know if we can get a picture back up of kind of where this sits. Yeah, this is probably, so.
CMAP, if you could please pull up the computer screen.
So my client's property, this shows part of it, is somewhat big. And it has frontage here, which is dedicated. This is the intersection of Enterprise and Southside Road. The requirement to dedicate this entrance to the United States, my client agrees with. We understand that is the intended entrance for Sunnyside Estate. But there's no way a subdivision creating two new parcels can support the costs associated with that road improvement. And in fact, that road improvement, the only main beneficiary of it is Sunnyside Estates, which built 200 homes without having to do that road improvement. And now 2 homes are being asked to do that road improvement. In fact, Sunnyside Estates, once this is built, will get to close the current entrance they have and build another house. So I do not see the parity at all in requiring last man standing to do major road improvements for a minor subdivision. The agreement was that we would dedicate this, dedicate that portion of Kern and the entrance into the subdivision for improvement in the future, possibly by another subdivider in the back, who I understand, or possibly by the county. But it does not make sense for this intersection to be completely the responsibility of this project. So my understanding is that these road improvements would be waived for this applicant. He's not using that road. He doesn't connect to that road. It would not serve his parcels as we've drawn it. And so we would request that condition 24 be waived. Along those lines,
1 second, Ann. Commissioner Scalia.
Question, Ed.
Sure.
Who allowed that subdivision to not put that road in there at the time it was built? And now we have this mess on our hands that we should not have to deal with when it should have been dealt with at the time of the subdivision. And I'm not angry at you, I'm just angry at the stuff that happens in this community. Really? And now we got to deal with it with this guy. Who allowed that? I mean,
I can tell you, because I am the only person probably in this room who is involved in conversations. I don't know, I've been talking about this intersection. The current client who owns this property has bought it in the last 5 years. We were doing work for the previous client at the time the subdivision was being done. And again, this predates any of the planners or the public works that are in here. I've talked to probably 5 RMA directors about this intersection, but there was no forward planning done in regard to what I consider Southside and Enterprise a fairly major intersection. Even though at least I could see it coming 15 years ago.
Anybody with 20/30 vision could see this coming.
So I can't fix what happened in the past, but I am going to say it is not fair, after I have talked to as many people as I've talked to in public work about this intersection, for him to be responsible for these improvements.
I got a question for public work. Can we go back on that person who built that subdivision and make them fix it now?
No, I don't believe you can.
Nope. No look backsies.
Through the chair, they are no longer there. It's just the homeowners that are there now.
Yep. Anything else?
Not at this moment.
Okay.
Thank you.
Please continue.
Okay. Then condition 30 was underground utilities. This is actually, this intersection, I know we've come here before, actually, for the same applicant owned the property kind of kitty corner on Enterprise. As part of those conditions that were established at the board under the appeal, this area, the utilities have been applied to PG&E for Rule 20 to underground this intersection.
Includes this project also.
It includes the frontage of this project because it includes, again, not just the frontage of this project, but some of the frontage of the gap between Bennett Ranch and the Johnson property. It includes the Johnson property, it includes the intersection. And so the direction there was to look into Rule 20, and I do know Public Works pursuing. There are substantial transformers there, again, beyond the scope of this type of project. Whether it should have been the responsibility of the larger projects, is up for discussion, but it wasn't, and I don't think it is realistic to make it the responsibility of a project that's going to result in 2 more homes.
Commissioner Way.
Yeah, forgive my ignorance. Can someone educate me on what Rule 20 is about?
Rule 20, and you can talk to your public works, but it's the monies that it's collected by PG&E, by people who pay bills that go back to the area they were collected from. And the county has a pot of money. It may not be as large as you want it to be, but you have a pot of money that you may tap into for some undergrounding or other PG&E related projects. It's money PG&E has already collected from people, and it's there. It's not always easy to get, but it's supposed to be the county's.
Thank you.
Commissioner Scagliotti.
I have a question of Public Works. How much money is in that fund? And what would it cost to do what Dan's talking about?
Sorry, through the chair, if we could have it on microphone.
And is that an actually documented number, or am I going to be 20 years down the road looking at those power poles? That's my concern. And given San Benito County's history.
Yeah, to answer the question, it's slightly over $3 million. And so I did reach out to PG&E, as was stated, to request that this area be undergrounded. I don't know the cost, honestly. They come up with the costs. But based on just what's out there and the number of poles and whatnot, at least in this frontage and the frontage up Enterprise, which, as was stated, the Board of Supervisors for the previous project directed staff to start coordinating with PG&E to have that whole intersection underground. I do think $3 million should be more than sufficient to underground it.
So follow up. So that'll get from Vista del Calabria underneath Southside, and then those poles that are on the west side of Southside from that point to Union, or where?
Ideally, all the way to Union. But again, I don't want to commit all the way to Union, but at least at this intersection and halfway up Union, yes. But we're going to request, or I'm talking with them, to go all the way to Union to have that underground. Now, one little caveat, there's cable lines on those poles. It's not just PG&E, but it all gets underground at the same time.
The conduit will be there, and whenever the AT&T gets off their duff, they'll get their wires in there. Is that how that works?
Yeah, well, we the county, for projects, for roadway projects, we can ask all poles and utilities to go underground one time, unless they have a dedicated kind of a special easement. But let's just pretend this was a county project and we were widening the road. We would tell PG&E, okay, we're widening the road. Thou shalt go underground, and cable, the cable spectrum, whoever is on the poles, also has to go underground, or relocate the poles somewhere else. But long story short, the Rule 20 doesn't account for cable undergrounding. But so we'd have to coordinate that.
Who pays for that? The county?
Yeah.
So those are the poles that are still sticking up on the sidewalk on Vista de Calabria?
Yeah.
There's some poles there with a thick cable running along, and they
Correct. That's exactly right. Now, those are also, that project is conditioned to underground those. It just, the cable company has not performed that activity yet. So that's exactly right.
They run like a government. Very efficient. Okay.
Yeah. So you could end up with, my guess is we'd be directed, Public Works would be directed to underground. Say there's 4 little cable poles. I'm guessing somebody would direct us, okay, Public Works, make that happen. But I'm just, to clarify, the Rule 20 doesn't pay for that part of it. So,
okay.
But it pays for the big overhead utility electrical lines, which is the main part of that. And so, so working with PG&E, and hopefully $3 million will take us all the way to Union Road, to answer your question. Hopefully.
What is the probability that this will actually come to fruition? And what kind of timeline are we looking at?
Timelines based on PG&E, year and a half, maybe-ish. So they have to design it. They have to coordinate the design of it and perform the action. So, but that's roughly the timeline. So.
Okay. Yeah. Any other questions of Mr. Loop at this time? Okay. Thank you.
And actually, well, okay. I was going to, okay, we can.
If you have something to add, please do so.
No, I just want to say that Anne's correct. On a previous map to this, and I've seen 4 or 5 maps just for this project, parcel 3A that was adjacent to the Kern-Mojave right-of-way actually connected to Kern and Mojave. However, on this current map, it's correct. The access actually goes north and then around. So therefore, the paving of that road does not need to occur for this project. I concur. However, we do need the dedicated right-of-way so that if the development to the west is developed, the county needs a dedicated right of way, just the right of way, so we can build that road at some point.
So the developer can build that road?
Future subdivision, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So, okay.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
So all three houses, including the existing house, will use the driveway of the existing house as well?
Correct.
Okay, thank
So
you.
there's no additional driveways on south side.
Okay, perfect. Any other, or you're still going, right, Ann?
Yes, I
Okay.
am. Sorry. On condition 20, I would like to change the verbiage. We've discussed this with Sunny Slope and discussed it with the county, but I'm not quite sure. He has a well on parcel 1, which we submitted the paperwork for. It is sufficient to serve the other 2 parcels. And we submitted the paperwork to get a local small water permit, which he would have to do to serve more than 1 parcel. And we've talked to Sunny Slope, and Sunny Slope's okay with it as long as he gets his local small water permit. So the only change to condition 20 was that the owner shall show proof of water service and cross out by Sunny Slope prior to issuance of a building permit, which would give him the option to either use his well with the local small water permit or to apply to Sunny Slope to get water. And Sunny Slope had indicated they're fine either way. I would just like it to give him the option to use the well or to use Sunny Slope. And go ahead.
Sorry, through the chair, this would need to be reviewed through environmental health and Sunny Slope because it's a modified project description, and we don't have that agency here to comment, so that would be staff's comment on that.
And that's understandable, but I don't get these conditions until they're published. So I don't have any choice but to bring it up at the meeting. But if that's the case, then we would want to continue it.
Yep.
Because that is something we've already discussed with environmental health and Sunny Slope. So we'd like that change.
Yeah. I have questions for environmental health.
So
different time.
Do you have any questions for me or the applicant?
Commissioner Ringhayden? No? Okay, that's it for now. Thank you, Ann. Is there any public comment?
Yep, Elia Salinas, please approach the podium.
Who is this young lady again?
I'm new to San Benito County, and I appreciate you allowing me to speak. Just an FYI, when it comes to PG&E, as of yesterday, the federal government decided that they're not going to loan PG&E any money, and they are in bankruptcy. So any expenses that you're talking about right now are probably going to increase because they're not getting any money from the federal government. So something to be wary of. My question to you, you tried to do this before with the underground is okay. So what happens with regards to when the property on the east side of South Side eventually gets developed? And I understand Mr. Scagliotti's frustration, that this has been going on for years and years. There's a development on Enterprise Road that was only required to do half the road and not the full road. They should have done it all the way to Enterprise, from Enterprise all the way to Southside Road, and probably, and something to consider that I was thinking of sitting here, you're probably eventually going to need a light at that intersection as well, which is more power that's going to be needed. But to consider when the project on the east side of Southside comes before the Planning Commission, what is their responsibility going to be aside from also finishing Enterprise Road? And I know this has nothing to do with this project, but consider they are going to come here. They are going to develop there. What do they get on South Side? What responsibility will they get if right now you're trying to put it on one small property owner, and unfortunately, those other, actually 3.5 developments actually should have been responsible for the entire South Side Road. So it's a Samson and Goliath, issue here. And when the small guy comes, everything falls on the small guy. So I would hope that you all would consider that it is a small person, a small guy coming in, not a big corporation, not a big developer. And the developers were the ones that got the ride, got the pass. And now, our citizens who live here, who've been here for their entire lives, are the ones that are having to pay for what the developers got away with. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
There is no more public comment in chambers or via Zoom.
Thank you. Public comment is closed. To the commission, before I go to the other commissioners, what are the rules regarding 1-acre parcels? I thought that there was a cluster applicant on the east side of the county that wanted to do open space and do 1-acre clusters, and environmental health said, oh, no, you have to have 2.5 acres. What? I don't understand. Why? What is the logic?
So when the type that you're referring to, I believe, is PUD, and those are planned unit developments. And what those do is the 2.5 acres also relates to septic. And those would be if you have, let's say it's an AP designation and they're 5-acre parcels. So you can do 1 acre if approved by Planning Commission and Board. You can do a development like that clustered, but essentially you have to dedicate the open space to sort of equal the acreage, and it's still the same number of lots. But it's a separate type. This type is already zoned to that they can do 1-acre lots with the exception of having public water or public sewer. What was that?
So it wasn't about protecting. So it wasn't about protecting the aquifer, it's just some nonsense rules that somebody made up at some point.
Right. No, it's OWTS standards. For the
OWTS.
Yeah.
Okay. If you could come up to the podium so we could get it on the record, please.
Sorry, what was that?
Anne's going to come up, and it just seems nonsensical that 1 acre is okay in one spot, but in another spot it's not.
I think Jonathan was right in the information he provided. I think he was answering a slightly different question, though, than you were asking. The way the local area management plan is written right now, you require 2.5 acres to be able to have septic on your property with a well in the county. However, if you have a source of water not on that property, you may go down to 1 acre. And so that source of water could be Sunny Slope water. It could also be a well on a different property. Like, for example, you did approve a subdivision earlier this year on Edgewood, and there was a 2.5 acre that had the well that was going to serve the other lots. And so the one with the well was 2.5 acres, but the other lots were allowed to be 1 acre. You can have septic on 1 acre as long as it does not have a well on that property.
That's something that comes down from the state because it doesn't make a lot of sense. Your well is 100 feet away, but yet it's okay if you're getting your water from over here, but you still have 3 septic tanks leaching into the groundwater, but it's okay because, well, you don't have the well on your property. It's very governmental.
Correct. There's requirements about distance between wells and septic systems and the amount of acreage needed to have on a property. So it comes through the state, and then environmental health can adopt what it's also referred to as a LAMP standards and requirements.
Thank you for clarifying that. It still doesn't make any sense to me, but thank you.
And I was going to add that in lieu of the LAMP standards being enacted, it's default to the state rules, and we're under Tier 1. So that would be where those come from.
Because the water is, the source is right at the bottom of that well. There's no aquifer. Genius. Okay, commissioners, do you have any comments, questions, or concerns? I have a headache.
I have something else, and it's not a headache.
Don't have anything?
Yeah, I have a question.
It doesn't have to be a motion.
A question?
Galliotti.
On the water and the sewer. I don't think we should have any more septic tanks there, and I definitely want it hooked up to Sunny Slope.
They're not in the sphere?
They can't?
Sorry, through the chair, we can have discussion through the audience if we can come up to the
Does
microphone.
staff have an answer? Are they not in the sphere? Why can't they be served by Sunny Slope Sewer or Hollister Sewer?
They are in the sphere, but they would have to be evaluated for that by them to have that connection and if it's available or not through either jurisdiction.
Yeah.
And can comment.
Yeah, if we amended, if we revised that, we would want to send it back to Sunny Slope because they would need to comment on that and environmental health. So again, we would want to continue the item to consider those changes.
Can I comment? So it's issue or number 20 for the water, we can vote on well or Sunny Slope Water District until the water district states what's okay or
so the project description that was sent to those agencies that have authority reviewed it with the water line on the 2 parcels and a well on the 3rd, and then septic system. If that is being changed, the project description is being changed, it needs to go back to those agencies for review and conditions of approval. And we don't have those agencies here in order to make that decision tonight and in future. The one comment I would have, although the conditions of approval aren't necessarily provided to the applicant early, those comment letters are sent with generally within 30 days. Sometimes we have issues with the agencies providing them. They take a little longer than the 30 days.
Right. So I guess my question would be, I'm not asking it correctly. How are we going to approve or modify number 20 if we can't because of the water district?
You cannot, staff through the chair, staff would recommend that you continue it so we can
Get their feedback?
get their comment,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
On the
Well, if we're going to do that, I'd rather do it for 19 and 20 and hear what Sunny Slope has to say about.
So if I can just comment, the septic issue, this would have to go through LAFCO. And
Oh, they're not in the sphere then.
they're not in the sphere. It would have to go through LAFCO, and they would not. The fight we had to do just to get that piece of Ron Colors in the back of Sunnyside Estates was very heavy lifting, and that one had been approved with Sunnyside Estates. LAFCO has shown no interest in allowing this to be annexed.
So when they did, who served Sunnyside Estates?
City of Hollister. I'm not saying this makes sense.
They left out that one little piece there, that little strip? Of course they did.
Yeah, they did. So he doesn't have the option to go to city sewer.
We need government to, the Doge here, I think, clean it up. Okay.
But to Colette's question, I understand Ariel's comment, and if we need to continue this to address that comment, the applicant is fine with continuing it, ideally to a date certain.
February.
Then,
There's no,
yeah, we're not going to have a meeting in January
yeah,
because
February 19th.
Commissioner Scagliotti and I, after tonight, are the only 2 planning commissioners that exist until everyone else gets reappointed or whatever happens. Well, given that, I'll leave 19 alone because messing with LAFCO is just unnecessary. This should have been taken care of years ago, and I don't blame the applicant for the government's failure to think properly. But the 20, I'm open to hearing what Sunny Slope thinks about the water provision. Commissioners' thoughts on that? Are we good with at least getting 20 modified, or at least asking Sunny Slope's opinion on modifying 20?
I agree with that.
And it would go also through environmental health. Environmental health is the local water system approver.
My problem is with these little water things, they don't always work. You're better off to go through the sanitary water coming in, Sunny Slope water dish, whatever. All these wells have high nitrates in them. They are not going to be able to get that out of there. There's going to be a big mess. Somebody's going to end up getting sued. water has to come from Sunny Slope. Period.
I'm open to that too.
No, otherwise they won't be able to comply with the state standards where this is going. I'm involved in some stuff right now that we can't keep up fast enough.
Well, I'll tell you what, they'll be happier if they get Sunny Slope water, because at least it'll be blended and it won't destroy their hot water heaters every couple of years and clog all their faucets. I can attest to that living out there. Right of way, I agree we need to get all the right of way. Road improvements, I'm fine striking 24B and C. I do have a concern that we're doing this hopscotch of infrastructure. The people that are stuck in the middle of this horseshoe that should have never been allowed to exist, they're not going. We can't require them under this to do sidewalk, curb, and gutter. So we're gonna have sidewalk, curb, and gutter, and then we're gonna have a gap, and then we're gonna have sidewalk, curb, and gutter, and then we're gonna have a gap. Yet the county has approved 300 homes on Southside, and there's not a safe way for people to push strollers to get to Target or to the stores. It's just things that nightmares are made of. I mean, I know I keep harping at it, but at some point we got to pull our heads out of the dark crevasses and start planning. Otherwise, change the name to the building commission and we'll just dilly-dally and not really think. So I want to know what we can do to get that sidewalk, curb, and gutter built, and whether it's on the county's dime for safety purposes, or if we can go after and put it on that property owner's tax bill. I think there needs to be a conversation with whoever owns that property and say, listen, this is what the plan is. We're going to eventually get sidewalk, curb, and gutter all the way to the corner where Southside makes the bend into the city and figure it out. It's not acceptable. It's like on the other side of the road when they approved whatever that development is of the 80-something homes, and there's a 60-foot gap of sidewalk, curb, and gutter until you get to Johnson's. Come on. It's just disturbing what we've allowed to happen, and then we're kind of stuck in the same position now, and it's extremely frustrating, and it shouldn't be happening, and we need to be changing our ordinances so that this can't happen in the future, like with lot line adjustments and anything. I think that was the time in 2016 when this lot line adjustment was done. Something should have happened there that triggered anything, any improvements at some point. Something should have triggered it, and now here we are. And whether it's just the county putting down asphalt because it's cheaper than sidewalk, curb, and gutter, that's fine with me. But we need to do something. How's everyone else on condition 23 right away? Keep all of that because it'll be needed when that orchard is eventually torn down and becomes housing. Whether or not it's the city of Hollister or the county of San Benito, I think we should get that right away dedicated. Road improvements, is everybody okay with deleting 24B and C?
Yeah.
Okay. And the only other thing is hoping the county and PG&E follow through and we can delete condition 30. And that is a gamble. But we can hope.
Good luck.
Oh. And then if we can direct Public Works to figure out to do something with that sidewalk in front of the little brown house that's stuck in the middle of the U, please. And if there's an ordinance that we need to adjust to stop that from happening in the future, please bring it forward. Or some sort of policy or mechanism.
May I make a comment?
Commissioner Scagliotti.
There, I think this project stinks all the way around. It stinks. It's bad. Bad where it's going to be. It's just bad for where it's situated and how you're going to ingress and egress Southside Road. It just doesn't make any sense with the easement that they're going to try and do from Enterprise across through there. It doesn't make any sense.
I wouldn't want to live in the brown house.
I wouldn't want to live anywhere in there. But my suggestion is to staff, and I don't know if I'll get very far with this. I said we find grounds for denial.
Hmm.
Complete grounds for denial. It does not belong there. I understand the man has the right, but it's not going to work. The poor planning, he needs to go tell the people who planned before he got there, and he should have read the deed restrictions and all the deeds and everything that was around there when he bought the place as to what he's doing. That's my opinion. That's all I have to say. It should be found grounds for denial. Complete.
Commissioners, any thoughts? Commissioner Way.
Not really, other than, I'm fine with continuing this. It sounds like we're not in a position to make any definitive judgment tonight on this. So other than that, not really.
Okay, let's go back to 20. Is there a consensus that would like to send this back to Sunny Slope requesting that the option be for Sunny Slope service, not well water on those other two one acre lots? Is there a consensus that we do that, at least get them on urban water?
Yes.
Okay, so that we have a consensus for that. So I guess if there's a motion to continue this, given all of our comments, and bring it back February 19th, 2025, which seems like a long way off, but it'll be here before we can blink an eye. So is there a motion to do so?
I'll move to continue it to February 19th, 2025.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
No.
Commissioner Scagliotti opposes. Motion carries 4-1. Next item on the docket was a continuation from November for hold a public hearing to consider adopting a resolution to approve PLN 230033, a tentative map to subdivide a 115.87 acre parcel at 859 Cowden Road into 3 parcels, 15.0, 15.11, and 84.03, and a 1.73 acre road dedication.
All right. Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. Jonathan Levis, Associate Planner, San Benito County. This evening, I'll be presenting the continuation of PLN 230033, minor subdivision, 859 Cowden Road, from the November 20th, 2024 Planning Commission meeting to address the changes to the conditions of approval regarding right-of-way improvements and utilities as directed by the Commission. The site is located approximately 4.5 miles southwest of downtown Hollister and about a mile southeast of the intersection of Cowden Road and Hospital Road. This is a rural area surrounded by primarily ag and some nearby rural housing. This image on screen shows the project site facing east towards the San Benito River from parcel 2 for reference. The project proposes to subdivide a 115.87 acre parcel into 3 lots of 15 acres, 15.11 acres, and 84.03 acres with a 1.73 acre road dedication. This project was originally brought before the Planning Commission on November 20th. After a thorough discussion, the Commission voted to approve the project with modifications to the proposed conditions of approval. The item was continued to a date certain to allow the applicants time to review and formally accept the modified conditions of approval. This continuation ensures that the applicant has an adequate opportunity to assess the modifications while maintaining the integrity and transparency of the approval process. This subdivision does not involve any new construction. The proposed parcels remain consistent with existing zoning regulations and agricultural uses, ensuring minimal changes to entitlements. I would like to draw your attention to the key modifications made to the conditions of approval. Condition 28, frontage improvements, has been revised to say essentially the full 28 feet, or half 28 feet, as opposed to the full in the original condition. And then we also have condition 31, underground utilities. This was previously mandating the undergrounding of the utilities. It was removed per the direction of the Commission. And condition 38, deferred roadway improvement agreement. This was added so that essentially if further subdivision occurred, they would be required to do the improvement upon further subdivision for the full width of the road. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission review the staff report and draft resolution, including findings and modified conditions of approval, receive public comments, adopt the resolution approving the minor subdivision, parcel map PLN 230033, subject to the outlined conditions. Any questions?
Yes.
Yes.
Clarification on the language of the conditions. It says Cowden Road or Sally Flat Road.
Yes.
Does it have multiple personalities? Is it the same road? Is it the continuation of Cowden Road onto Sally Flat? So it shouldn't say or then, because then they can say, well, we'll do Sally Flat, but not Cowden because of or. It should be both, right?
Right. That would be more of a question for Public Works, but the dedication is kind of, the road splits in two different directions along the parcel for their frontage. So it would be better if Steve were to comment on that.
Yeah.
I think he stepped out for a moment, so.
No, he's right there.
Oh, there's Steve.
He's not getting away from us.
So, Steve, could you come to the podium, please, and clarify what that language means? Because to me, or means either one, not both. And the goal is both if there's further subdivision.
If I recollect, the proper term should be and, not or.
Okay.
So I think it does change names when it makes a curve, but
Okay.
I think and is the proper
Is there
term.
even a sign?
I honestly haven't traveled that road, so I don't know.
I think I've been down there once or twice as an adult, and looking for county signs sometimes is
Tricky thing.
they don't exist. Okay, any questions for staff before we go to the applicant's representative? Seeing none, Ann, please come to the podium. Flash drive. Technical assistance, please.
To answer your question, Cowden Road sort of ends halfway through this property, and then there's Sally Flat access road, which isn't really a road. I mean, so I think I have a picture. Is there any way you prefer me to put this in here?
We have to ask that question. Yeah, I don't know. If it's not public, then. We're making progress.
Yeah, there's two. So, okay. So, let's see if I use the computer here. Yeah. There we go. So, to your question, basically, the highlighted area is the property that's being subdivided. The kind of the black line. You see, you come down Hospital Road, Cowden Road turns, and then turns and goes in front of the property. You can see where that blue area is. That's Sally Flat Reservoir. So once you hit that point, it's not really a public road at that point. The other picture I have here.
I didn't know there was a reservoir back there.
It's the City of Hollister Reservoir.
Oh, well, that would be why. Okay.
Yeah, probably.
It was open.
Okay.
I thought it was a cistern
So,
or something.
I don't know if I can, if you can see this, make it bigger, but yes, actually. So this property, and hopefully I kind of laid the tentative map over Google Earth a little bit so you can see it. Cowden Road comes down here, and there's a driveway here to this house, driveway that goes there to that house, which is on the property. From here, this is really just a private driveway. City accesses Sally Flat and goes to one house. And that's it. This isn't even, until this map, I'm not sure any of this road here is dedicated. So that's why I think it's kind of Cowden Road, Sally Flat. It's just referred to Sally. So as part of this map, they're required to dedicate their 30 feet. They have no problem with that. They're doing that. But this frontage effectively serves 3 homes and the city of Hollister Reservoir. So I'm just trying to put in scale what we're looking at here. I know at your November meeting, you were discussing changes to the ordinance in terms of road improvement. And as part of that, for minor subdivisions, you were actually lessening the requirement to improve all frontage. You were increasing it on major subdivisions, but on minor subdivisions, it's going to be under the purview of the county engineer, and it could be as little as driveways, or it could be as much as half road improvements, which is what your current ordinance says. But you are right now in the process of changing your ordinance to not require half road improvements for a minor subdivision. And tonight, on Mr. Patello, he didn't even dedicate, let alone do half road improvements on Flint Road, which arguably gets little traffic, but I don't think it gets as little traffic as 3 homes. And that is all this road will serve in the foreseeable future is 3 homes. So what I'm requesting is that condition 28 be changed to upon further subdivision. Because as of this subdivision, there will be 1 home that'll stay there. There's a large agricultural piece that will most likely stay in ag. And then there's this higher ground, which has been ag. The reality is it could be sold and someone could choose to build a home, which would make it up to 4 homes on that frontage. And I cannot see the correlation between 4 homes and major road improvement for a subdivision of this size. I just think, given some of the other things you were discussing, some of the other discussion you had tonight, I don't feel that is in line with what's going on here. And we would request that the condition for frontage improvements be changed to upon further subdivision, which is in line with what you've done on other projects, not upon a building.
If we could leave that slide up there. Steve, would you be able to show where the end of the public roadway is? Is there a gate? Is there a sign that says end of public road? Is there any indication that it is anything but there is?
The applicant is here.
For the record, the applicant said that there is a sign at the end of the county road.
Okay. Back there. What's right in there? Oh. Well, there's a lot of roads that aren't maintained, so hey, drive up Lone Tree.
So
okay.
I would just, put 38 back into 28 and just defer it all until further subdivision. I just can't see the correlation between the effects of this subdivision and road improvement.
Okay.
And the applicant is here if you have.
Before we go to public comment, do you have any questions?
I have
of the
one question of Ann.
Ann, one moment, please.
What is the reason to break this parcel into 3 parcels? What is their reasons for doing it? Is it for tax purposes? Is it for family?
Estate planning.
Estate planning? That's why I'm on for estate planning.
Yes.
Okay, there's no thought of doing any favor parcels in the near future or anything like that. It's for estate planning only. Thank you.
Any other questions before we go to public comment? Sounds good. Public comment, unless the applicant wants to speak. I mean, oh, okay. Sure, come on down.
Could you please state your name for the record?
John Leonardini, and I'm the one that lives on the property. And the reason we're subdividing it is because my uncles have passed away and their kids want to sell it. I don't want to have to lose my house. They don't even live in the state. So that's why we're doing it.
Okay. Makes sense. Thank you. Public comment. Is there any public comment for this item?
Elia Salinas
No.
is waiving her comment. I have no public comment in chambers or via Zoom.
I feel like I won a prize. Okay, public comment is closed. Back to the commission. Thoughts, questions, concerns? Commissioner Scaliotti, you look fired up.
No, this is an easy one.
Okay.
I say we recommend that we do what Dan Hall asked us to do.
To
Strike these things, and then the minute they pull up, do something to develop it, or we have that kick in.
to push the frontage improvements into the condition 38 to defer until further subdivision of any one of those 3 parcels. Is that acceptable to the commission as a whole?
Yes.
Perfection. I think we're there. With that, is there a motion to adopt the resolution with those changes just mentioned?
I make a motion, we adopt those resolutions as we change them.
And I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries 5-0. Thank you all. Regular agenda, nothing. Commissioner announcements. I would like to thank Commissioner Celeste Toledo Bocanegra for her service. The Planning Commission is not a very rewarding task, but it's important that every jurisdiction have one. So I would like to thank you for your service, and I hope you continue on with your community work.
I appreciate you. Thank you for your comment.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I appreciate everyone's time here. And remember, you are employees. Because we get about $92
And
a month.
35 cents. Yes.
And it is hard work. So thank you for all of your guys' dedication and time. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other commissioner announcements? Okay. I just have another one, and I don't know if it needs to go on a future agenda, but I would like to have our letter that for the San Benito High School District. I would like to share that letter with LAFCO and just get the consensus of the Planning Commission just to forward that email to LAFCO, because they're the ones that'll be making a decision next. County Council looks quizzical.
Yeah, what are we referring to here?
The letter that the Planning Commission did not agree that location was good. I would like to get that letter shared with LAFCO, because the project will be coming to LAFCO next. And I would like our opinion to be on their record.
Has it been formalized? Yeah.
Yes.
Through the chair, it has been, and county council, it has been completed. It was sent to the high school district. We did request that it get put on there as part of any future agenda packet to the district, and we can forward that to LAFCO.
Please make sure that they do get it, because I think it's important they have our opinion on record. Commissioner Way?
I'm sorry, I forgot that I actually did have something in the way of announcements, and this jogged my memory regarding it. I did attend the most recent San Benito High School District Board meeting, trustees meeting. I did present the concerns of the Planning Commission. I brought copies of the report. I asked for them to be distributed to the trustees. The clerk told me she would have to check with the superintendent whether or not that would be possible. I don't know whether she did distribute them or not. Basically, my comments fell on deaf ears. The trustees voted unanimously to proceed with the acquisition of the third parcel. So just FYI. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other commissioner announcement? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. The last meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much. We will see you in February.